I've wondered for years how far Jimmy Kimmel would have to go to get actually like hiatused, like to get like, hey, we're gonna have a guest host for a while, and looks like he finally went too far, and now his show's in hiatus indefinitely, which makes sense because honestly, like he's such a two-faced fraudster, and I have no idea how Jimmy Kimmel somehow like greased all the right palms to land up in political correct land as like the he was always like, now as a late night host, seen as like this moral bastion of integrity to like call out others people's stuff. I'm like, dude, this is the same guy that I used to see on Spike TV on the Man Show that always opened and closed every episode with large-breasted women jumping on trampolines.
Yeah.
And it was like the most vulgar like show on, it was the most vulgar like regular show on Spike TV.
Oh yeah. And his show started, the Jimmy Kimmel Live, 2003.
No way. I didn't know that.
It's been too long. It's been too long since that.
That's crazy. I legit thought it started like when I was in high school, after like Spike TV kind of started going down the drain.
Yeah. So 23 years, good run, good riddance, and
that's crazy.
I've this whole time I've really never found him funny.
He's never been funny. He's had funny guests.
The Matt Damon feud, funny to me.
That's funny.
Ongoing. I love an ongoing bit for years and decades. It falls around. That's funny. And like he did a couple fun viral videos. Remember that video of the white girl, skinny white girl twerking, and then the whole room catches on fire?
No.
It went viral for like a few months, and then they showed the full clip, and the full clip is Jimmy Kimmel comes out and puts it out with a fire extinguisher. So they were just seeing if they could go viral.
Oh, really?
It was like, let's see if we can make something go viral. Just like posted on a random channel, and it did, whatever. And stuff like that, whatever. But I'd say there's two things. That's two things I enjoyed of 23 years of the Kimmel Live. And it's like, I just don't think he was that creative or that funny. And he, and then definitely for the last 8 years, it's been one person and one person alone who has kept his show going. Donald Trump. Because, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel just is infatuated with the guy. I mean, he's never going to come up.
He was always the worst. Which is saying a lot because, like, there's Jon Stewart, which has always been... Jon Stewart, to me, has also never really been that funny, but he's a decent interviewer. But Jon Stewart's also been, like, insanely... I don't know. I feel like it was a lot more obvious with Jon Stewart that, like, this is paid for by the government. Especially, did you ever see the COVID dance that Jon Stewart had?
No, I don't know if I did.
It was literally like the get your vaccination COVID dance, and he had like people coming out dressed as like vaccines. And I was like, this is the most fucking like bare level slop propaganda. And then in my head I was like, there's somewhere out there people like clapping along to this in their home. And that's crazy. Anyways, all that said, I always thought he was like probably one of the worst late night show hosts. So I'm shocked that it lasted as long as it is. But it seems like he finally went too far, and they're like, dude, you just don't got the ratings to back up the vitriol that you're saying and the blowback we're getting from, your take on the Charlie Kirk assassination. So you're done. Out of here. Which nothing was lost. And I will say too, one late night show host that I respect a lot more. I never really respected a lot of them much, but like one that I've always had like a decent amount of respect for is actually Jimmy Fallon. And I know a lot of people can't stand him because they think he's got a fake laugh, and I know he's really struggled with alcohol. And some people say he's like as mean as Ellen, which is hard for me to believe.
Wow.
But I really liked it because he's always like had jokes that pick at both sides. He's like kind of Conan, where like everyone's free game.
Yep.
And also, dude, his back and forth with John Krasinski, where they pranked each other off and on for years. That was one of my favorites to watch.
I enjoy it. And Fallon's creative. He's entertaining. He's fun. He is actually talented.
He is, and he's super talented. Like, he's a very talented. One of my favorite things I remember as a kid seeing was the opening where the opening to that late night episode was him singing "Old Man" with Neil Young.
Oh yeah,
and that was awesome.
Rico was like, "Oh, this isn't just like
he wasn't dubbing,
right? Yeah, this is him really doing this, and it's not funny. It's just cool. Like it was like all those other shows, even like honestly, like
he was great on SNL,
like Letterman too. And Leno too. Like eventually, I lumped Leno into a little bit of even like the Kimmel stuff as far as like really.
He had some stand up bits.
Good. Yeah, they were funny, and like I think Letterman was a decent interviewer, but like the creativity that comes out of and the talent from Jimmy Fallon, I think is fun, and it's been fun for a long time.
Jimmy Fallon also did a decent amount of skits on his show too, though. Like that's a lot of things I think people forget about, but I'm pretty sure it was like SNL sometimes where like every night or I don't know, once a week or something, he had kind of like a skit. And I remember the one with him, and it was Ryan Gosling and Justin Timberlake, and who's the dude who just shot that armor on set?
Alec Baldwin.
And it was the classic thing where they have to say like tongue twisters with coffee and food in their mouth. And he did it several times with each of those guests and stuff. And it was just really funny and well done. I don't know. To me, that was late night TV. The best one of all time, though, without a doubt, was freaking Craig to me, dude.
Oh, yeah?
Craig,
really?
The Scotsman.
Yeah.
What was his last name?
Craig, like Robinson? No, it's Craig
Ferguson. Dude, Craig Ferguson, and he still like does stand up nowadays. But I would stay up late just to watch his because it was so funny, and he had his robot skeleton co-host named Jeff, and they would just banter back and forth until they were crying on the floor laughing. It was unhinged, because they knew like no one's still awake right now watching this, so we can say whatever we want, and it was very entertaining. Anyways,
and here's what Kimmel said. He said the MAGA gang. He said this on his show. MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it. The late night host also criticized flags being flown at half-mast in honor of Charlie Kirk and mocked the president's reaction to the shooting. He said, this is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he calls a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, said Jimmy Kimmel, as he often mocked Trump in his monologues. So he just couldn't help himself. And, well.
That's honestly such a crazy take, dude. Like, because it's not like Trump did it because Charlie Kirk was just a celebrity. Like, he did it because, like, Charlie Kirk was, like, a friend of his that like helped him pick out his cabinet. Like you could honestly say that there's a good share of the reason the country is what it is today is because Charlie Kirk had a voice in Trump's ear. And that's crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And someone at is ABC had to have been just hoping and waiting for a good excuse to can him too. Like if his show was crushing,
they wouldn't have done it.
They wouldn't. They'd cover. They'd see. They always say like indefinitely. We'll see if it's all canceled or not. But
well, that's also why I think John Oliver's still on, but Jon Stewart is no more. Like they ended his show because of budget, and like it just wasn't making any money. I think the Seth one is over too. What's his name?
Seth Meyers?
I think Seth Meyers is done as well.
Really?
I can't remember.
I thought he was still going.
He might still be going. I could totally be misspeaking. It's not like anyone watches it. So
all the things are so ridiculous. Did you see Bill Maher's clip of like the day after or whatever? He was talking with the singer from Smashing Pumpkins.
Is it Maher or Mayer?
Mayer. I don't know.
Neither do I.
But he was like, he was pretty upset. He was just like pouring this giant glass of whiskey and talking to is it Billy Curringham, the lead guy from Smashing Pumpkins?
Maybe. Let me just look. Real Time with Bill Maher, Charlie Kirk. He has Ben Shapiro on talking about it 4 days ago. I don't know. Is the Smashing Pumpkins guy a white dude?
Yeah, white. Kind of looks like he's not really a rock star, but he is. I can't remember his name.
Did he have nice things to say?
The Billy Corgan. is the guy. But Bill Maher he's like pouring this big old glass of whiskey, and he's like, I'm going to drink more today than normal. Like the guy who sat in that chair like we were sitting in was just like shot. And
I see it here.
And he's like, and then he goes, and then in Bill fashion, he's like, and for any of you out there who are like celebrating this, just like F you. Like I can't deal with this.
Bill Maher said that, or Billy Corgan?
Bill Maher said that.
What was Corgan's reaction?
He was just sitting there like, yeah, that's messed up. Which I feel like one thing I've noticed this week, I don't know if you've seen it, which would be the men who I want to be like, watching their reactions to this.
Fucked up, dude.
The guys who I like this is showing who the real men are.
I mean, sure, yeah. I get, but I was saying like the men you want to be like, which in my mind makes me immediately think of Jocko. And I saw Jocko's reaction, and Jocko was pretty fucked up. Jocko was messed up.
Yeah, they're messed up. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Like
so
Jocko was torn up. Dude, I'll tell you what. Theo was messed up.
Theo was messed up. The guy, it's one of the cowboys from Yellowstone, the old man. He's a real cowboy, and he's just on the show.
Yeah.
And he's just like driving in his truck, and he's like, "This isn't the real America." Like all the real Americans know who you are. And but like watching the awakening of righteous anger in people who I'd consider to be real men or men who I want to emulate was encouraging to see, like kind of a bit of a wake up call or a surge or things. And it's not men calling for violence. It's not men being ridiculous one way. That's just like men who are like solid in their belief of who they are, who they want to be, how they see the world, and like really who are calling for unity and peace. And the guys who are calling for this are guys who you don't want to be getting violent with.
Yeah, a lot of them are dudes who would be on the war council.
Yeah,
if there was like a civil war, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they get contracted.
It's the guys you really don't want to get violent with who are saying that's not how we do this. And so seeing those guys come out and speak out, and kind of this a bit of an awakening too, and like younger men as well and stuff, and it's just like I've taken some encouragement from that too. Yeah. Just to go like when you see if you go down into the social portal, you're gonna be you're going to think this world is all over with, and it's just not the case when you do listen to some of these sound men, and it's like, oh yeah, there's a good reminder of those things. And to see like men who aren't very emotive being emotional about this was also like, it affirmed my emotions that day, the way that we felt when we recorded our last podcast.
I haven't listened to it all the way through yet on back. But like, did we even like speculate? I don't even remember us speculating about the shooter's identity really that much, other than just I remember it more like just us trying to process the facts and information. Smoke break. Hey Ken, it's Mick, and I've got something important to talk about. We all hope we never find ourselves in a self-defense situation, but life's unpredictable. Enter the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer, an actual credible law firm you can put on retainer for your self-defense needs. For just $35 a month, you get national coverage in all 50 states for criminal and civil legal representation in self-defense situations, complete with a 24/7, 365 toll-free emergency line. That's real legal support when you need it most. What's in the package? Bail bonds, scene cleanup, firearm replacement, even mental health counseling. Plus, 0 fees for a laundry list of defense-related costs like expert witnesses. So support the show and get yourself some peace of mind. Click the link in our show notes or visit our sponsors page to sign up for the National Self-Protection Plan from Attorneys on Retainer.
Hey folks, Pat here. If you're like Mick and I, you're a fan of classic tales like Lonesome Dove, Blood Meridian, The Three-Body Problem, and Steinbeck's East of Eden. With Audible, you can dive into these epic stories anytime, anywhere. Sign up for a free month, and your first audiobook is on the house. To start your free trial and support our show, click the link in the show notes or swing by the sponsors page on our website.
Want an awesome website for your podcast? Check out Podpage. We use it for the Mick and Pat show, and it's a game changer. Set it up in minutes, no coding needed. Support the show by using our link to get started. Your podcast deserves a home as great as ours. Podpage, the one-stop solution.
We didn't get into a lot of the stuff we normally would do of I don't want to say kind of like the this or that conspiracy or how did this happen, or we broke down some of the stuff about, because he wasn't caught yet at that time. We didn't know who it was.
Yeah,
we had no idea who it was, and we did talk a little bit about if it could have been a professional or not, and those sorts of things were already coming out at that time. But we mostly just processed through what we were feeling, and what we were feeling was a sadness, and also I'd call it a righteous anger.
I don't even know if I can say I was angry yet.
And I that's true. I'd say the next day I was trying to figure out what was going on, because I played in our worship band the next night.
Yeah.
And while we were playing through those, it's funny, on an actual Sunday morning for me, playing on a Sunday morning usually isn't very worshipful. I'm just trying to hit the right notes.
Yeah.
But when we rehearse, for me, that is worshipful.
Yeah.
To just be with him and singing these songs, and we were singing songs and stuff, and those songs kind of hit harder when something like this has happened. And so I was working through all these this ball of emotions I had, and then afterwards we always do the band checks in, how you doing, what's going on in your life and stuff. And I was the last person to talk, and I just was I'm mad. I want to wage a war, in my man flesh, and in myself, I want to war against something. I want to war against evil, and I want to take that out.
How was the reaction from the other band members? Because not all of our band members are. No, I would say very. They're classic band members. They're not very masculine people, all the time.
Right, they weren't. And one thing I did say too, I started off part of this by saying, I was I watch a lot of videos of people dying. And they were kind of their jaws dropped. I'm listen, I'm security team stuff, things like this. So we we engage with, but this video of watching this man die really got to me a lot, and it has awakened something in me that feels very frustrating. As a person, I think lots of guys in our position feel their agency and voice has been taken away. Because on some of these platforms, you can't express your opinion or who you are, or what you believe, without, doxxed or canceled, or just for fear of, losing a friend because they won't engage with you. And it's I want to fight evil, and there is evil in this world, and I know there's evil in this world, and we saw evil in this world, and I want to rid the world of this. And in my flesh, the way to do that is through violence. And I was but my weapon tonight has been and it sounds I don't know if this might sound I don't know what it sounds like. It might sound a little gay.
Might sound cringe.
But I was this my weapon is that bass guitar over there. That's been my object of war that I am waging against evil tonight, and through the worship in my soul and in my body, and playing out these things. Because if you do believe as a believer that it's not a physical fight that we're in, you do have to engage it in some of those ways. And it was a healthy outlet to...
It's a lot healthier than violence.
Exactly. And maybe more effective in some ways too, to just release it through other means. And so anyways, that's where I was feeling this thing in myself of anger, and I'm very angry about the way that, I've seen so many people react in such kind of disgusting ways to it, and it's disheartening and makes you lose faith in humanity. But then also throughout the rest of that week, watching how many other, not just men, it was women too, but for me, watching other men react to this in a way that they were awakened and hate evil, and they want to combat evil in this world, and seeing that standing up that way, and watching videos of...
Did you watch the Sam Hyde video? This Is You?
I didn't.
Fucked me up, dude.
Oh, yeah?
I know I'm saying the F word a lot, but it's because I've legit been... I will say this, and this is no exaggeration. I do think that was the worst day of my life so far. Like, I think about the shittiest day I had in law enforcement. I think about the shittiest day I had in high school. I think that was the most upset, alone, and maybe even afraid I've ever felt in my life. And there's a lot of ways to go into it. Like, I felt alone because, not that I didn't have anyone to talk to about it, but like the level of disturbed I felt, and my wife was trying to like comfort me, and she just didn't know what to say. That made me feel very alone.
Yeah,
because it made me feel like there was not a way I could help her understand what I was feeling, and that like words were failing me, emotion and like body language was failing, and I felt like there's not anything I can do to let her know how I need help right now. And even processing with you made me feel like I could like go to sleep when we talked about it. I felt like I was going to be able to go to sleep that night now. But I still felt very alone when we were talking about it. I still felt like on an island of like, why do I feel so disturbed by this? Because I think I said it probably, I don't know, half a dozen times, but like, I was not a religious follower of this guy. I wasn't a Turning Point USA college student by any stretch.
Right.
But seeing that wickedness, seeing the evil, and seeing it just raw, unfiltered, uncensored, and recognizing not just that, but then I think it was the recognition that like my country is gone because 56% of the like Democrat voting party, registered Democrats, believe that violence is acceptable. And again, for people who don't know the math, they did a survey of registered Democrat voters. 56% of them said that violence is an acceptable means to resolving our disagreements politically. And when asked, like, would it be acceptable to assassinate Trump or Elon Musk, they answered yes. So that's just like, I had seen that and I thought, that's just a poll. It's probably inaccurate. They're probably polling the most radical people in New Jersey. And then you see all the like worship of the violence and glorification of it and rejoicing. And then you're like, oh my gosh, it might be real. It might be real. Lord, please, God, have mercy. Help me. And I think that's why I felt so alone that day and couldn't process and explain it. And I think that loneliness and fear of not like, oh my God, is someone going to shoot me? But just fear of like, damn, like
we're at too big to turn off.
We're here right now, and this can't be swept under the rug. And in fact, like, is this just going to embolden everyone, like on every side? Like embolden retaliation and embolden like, hey, it's okay to do this because like some people are doing it and they're getting celebrated. That's the thing, right? Like, when's the last time we saw someone like on this kind of scale celebrating a school shooter? No one celebrates school shooters. No one ever glorifies, like, to this degree, the Columbine shooting or something. Of course, there's like those fringe weirdo cult groups,
like 10 of them. Yeah,
that are like, I just love reading about this stuff, right? And I would like to be them one day, and I have the same hoodie they wore. And it's like, that's always going to exist. The fringe, less than 1%, right? But dude, it was well over 1% celebrating on social media Charlie Kirk's death and rejoicing over it, posting memes about it. And I gotta imagine there's a lot of people chemically who are like, oh my God, they might praise me one day. They might worship me if I just do the next one.
Yeah.
And I think that was the fear that I felt, right? Was like, this rejoicing is so dangerous for those who need that little bit of push and enthusiasm to go and do something.
Because it's being accepted, it's being tolerated. And yeah, for me, because I felt similar too. And one thing I was saying when I was talking to those people that night, I was like, when I was saying that I had this righteous anger in me, I also said, I don't use the word like traumatized lightly. Like I hate that word. And I think, because I think it's been so watered down. But I was like, I think I'm it's like those traumatizing for me to watch this in some ways, and what I was struggling with too, that I told these people was, I was like, I am, people who know me, I am pretty steady. I'm pretty, like, my emotions are in check. I'm typically unshaken by things, and these are things these are things not even that I knew of myself, but what people have spoken to me that they see in me, right?
Yep.
And so to be like, if I'm used to being something steadfast or something that's unshakable in many cases, and as somebody who's been told that others rely on for that, I got shaken, and to be shaken is a uncomfortable place for anybody probably, but for me it just was like somewhat foreign to be like, whoa.
Yeah, dude. Again, like, I can't think of any time. I've seen a couple of people die, and I've seen a few more people dead.
Mm-hmm.
And none of them affect me that way. Not one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think I had a family member death that had shaken me as much as that had. Like, that really unnerved me so much. And I will say this. I can say it with full truth and honesty, man. There's not an ounce of anything in me that wants, like, retribution of vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even have, like, a super strong... Like, I don't have a very powerful emotion that, like, we should even execute his killer. I'm not saying that we shouldn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that is, like, very well could be a fair and just punishment for, whoever was associated in the assassination. And it might even be the one that is, like, most needed because of all the glorification to deter someone from doing something similar. But I saw some people I saw some videos taken off of Instagram and Twitter and stuff posted on Reddit, because I don't have any of those things. I just have Reddit, because I figure if I'm going to do any social media, I should just keep my finger on the pulse of the worst,
Yeah.
And these videos posted of, like, some people who, they say they're conservatives and they got their MAGA hat on, or number 47 hat, and there was this one big boy driving around his truck saying, I'm sick of it, and you know what? I'm ready. Someone say where, and we'll start going door to door, finding them. And we'll start, like, rounding them up, and it's time. It's time we get them out. Like, if you're trans, you're out. If you're fucking gay, you're out. It was just like one of those things, and I just was watching it, and, like, everyone's like, look, they're just as extreme, and I'm like, hey, dude, as a conservative, like, report this guy. Like, someone call the police. If you recognize who this is, let them know this guy's planning on going door to door. Like, I certainly don't want this fucking dude out there if this is what he's thinking he's about to do when he gets home from work. And if he's not doing it, and if he's just doing it for social media clout, let him tell the cops that. But, like, if you know where this is, if you have his Instagram handle, report it to the police. And, like, a lot of people are like, well, it's so double standard. Like, and I'm like, find me a conservative person who thinks, like, this is cool. Like, this is an extremist. And we're fine with reporting those people too. No one's going to be celebrating this dude if he goes and does that. And I think that's the thing where I'm at. You know what I mean? I'm like, I have no desire for vengeance. And in fact, I'm kind of disgusted by, like, the knee-jerk reaction of, like, we need to go and take it to him now. I'm like, and maybe it's just because I know we talked about this last week, but no one fucking knows how bad war is, dude. No one has a remotely clear idea of how insanely awful war in the U.S. would be.
Yeah, like, even people who've been to war, like, they, like, wouldn't
generations don't know what it's like to be at war in the U.S. You know what I mean? Like, because they didn't, they weren't really at war when they were deployed. No offense. I know some of you are going to take offense to that, but, like, you know what I'm talking about. You didn't get shot at. You didn't have to worry about hostages being used in front of you on a daily basis. You didn't, you weren't in Ukraine, right?
Or, like, or doing it in your home either, in your, where next to your family and stuff. But and that's where I was saying this before we started recording, and I think too, like, the piece of, if he's executed, that like we'll see the measure of, is the favor going to be returned with disgusting celebration of death again, and from the right on this. And I think, like, for me, I would say, I think he, if guilty, can and should be put to death.
I agree. I think that's a fitting punishment.
But celebrated the day he's gone, no.
Yeah, I don't think we should be having parties or...
I think it's a sad day.
Yeah.
I think it's a sad day, but it's a just day.
Yeah.
Is what I would call that.
Yep.
It's sad, but it's just. But it's not but it's just still sad.
There's a lot of mockery too going on right now, because a lot of people have said that. A lot of people have said, like, hey, we should, like, now that they found him and all that stuff, like, we should be praying for him by name to come to know Jesus and be saved, because that's what Charlie would want. And then there's a lot of mockery of, they're like, people, and everything be like, oh, because they found out he's a fucking white kid from a Mormon family, they want to pray for his soul. If he was a black or brown kid from the streets with no dad, you'd bet they'd be saying, like, to hang him high. And I'm like, no. Like, what? Like, when was the last time? I don't know anyone who's saying, like, now granted, I'm not saying there's not racists in this country, right? But I don't know anyone who, even for, like, what is it? Irina Vyankyov,
the model who was killed in the train,
Ukrainian refugee. I don't know anyone who's like, man, groveling, like, we need to hang that man. We need to hang him up. I don't know anyone. I know people who are like, we need to catch that guy, and they caught him, and they're like, all right, now he needs to be tried and found guilty and sentenced to death. Like, he needs to get executed. Like, what he did was cold-blooded, unprovoked murder, and that would be justice for her. But I don't know anyone who's like, man, all these fucking people are the same and we gotta hang them up. No one's like that. And so when they're doing that straw man argument for, Charlie Kirk's killer, and saying, like, oh, because he's white, we're calling to pray for him. Like, no, it's because who he killed. Because who he killed is why there's the response, because a lot of the people who followed Charlie are believers. And what's one of the most, like, universal truths of Christianity? That you're called to reap coals on your enemy's head by prayer and love. So it's no surprising to me that you're going to find some, I'll put in air quotes, extreme Christians whose first knee-jerk reaction to this is going to be not, yeah, we should kill this dude and we should piss on his body. They're going to say, we should love him and pray for him, because that will, ultimately perhaps lead him to Christ and redemption. And then it's also like what Charlie would have wanted. And I think that's a totally fair thing to say. I also don't think it's wrong to say, like, hey, like, justice is also something that's important in the same context. Like, we can pray for someone and their salvation while also not condoning what they did and accepting, like, there's consequences for actions. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I definitely agree, because we have something that gets discounted or overlooked or misunderstood about the Christian faith is, and maybe even misunderstood by a lot of people who are trying to be Christians, I don't know, is we believe in redemption, and that nobody is too far gone for that.
Yep.
It's like that is a tenet. It's a thing that we stake our whole thing on.
Honestly, I don't like it. It'd be easier if I had a list of people that was in scripture that was like, yeah, but, like, these ones there's no saving, so just you can do whatever you want. Like, because I fully believe it. I fully believe it with you, but it is easier if someone's like, yeah, they're a child rapist, and be like, oh, well, like, biblically speaking, God says that they'll never know Jesus, so, like, I guess we could get rid of them. I don't have to pray for them. You know what I mean? It's one of those things that, like, the truth is unfortunate in that, like, well, the truth is unfortunate for me in my own sin, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Is that I have to actually truly see that person for who they're made in the image of God and do my best to show them Christ's love.
And then the beautiful flip side to it is that is the hope we all cling to as broken, sinful people, right? And so it's like and people point out the Bible's full of just like all your leaders are like murderers and rapists and, and thieves, the kind of the big dogs we like to put up there, that old King David and Noah and Saul and Paul and, we have Solomon and like Abraham, whatever. There's and that's just barely breaching the surface on names of guys in the Bible who are revered, who
also did bad stuff,
who
also were sinners,
who maybe did more bad stuff than the guy who killed who killed Charlie Kirk.
I'll say it. I don't like that you said that.
Yeah, right.
I don't think it's wrong.
Right.
I don't like that you said that, dude.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we place our faith in the redemption of mankind and the story unfolding. And as man, we are not ultimate judges for eternity. Now here in our flesh, yes, sometimes he's got to throw a rope over a tree. And I believe in that.
Shit.
And
let's pick a different form of murder.
Well,
that one sounds too racially charged.
I was about to say, let me also, here's the deal. It has nothing to do with that. 100%. It's just old.
I know that.
I know. But
people don't know that.
But for me, like old Westerns, like basically is what I basically base my like entire,
Jake stealing horses.
Exactly.
Get him hung up.
It's unfortunate. And the rope over the tree thing, why I say it is, I do believe in due process, and I do believe in innocent until proven guilty. I also believe in people when sometimes they're guilty and it's time to do it. Here and now, it's done, and that's a whole nother conversation on maybe where our legal system's gotten to, and in some ways rightfully so, because there are innocent people on death row and in these horrible things if you take individualist cases from it. But speaking generally, there's in our flesh as we walk this world, there are man's laws, and some of those laws, if broken, require that your life is now forfeit.
Yeah. Were we recording when we talked about Flesh Simulator's capital punishment episode? Or were we just shooting the shit?
Was that in our last episode?
If it was, I didn't, like I said, I haven't finished the whole thing, but anyways, all that said, if you haven't listened to it or watched it, go watch it. Flesh Simulator.
I think we were recording because we were talking about, but we could the three versions of punishment that he talked about.
Well, and I mean, we don't even think we need to go over it again. People can watch it for themselves, but it really is where I'm like spending a lot of time and thought lately of just like, man, like you have to have punishment, and like I think I've always felt that way as a Christian, and especially even before a believer, I felt that way more so. But I think now I'm really spending more of my day every single day wrestling with like there has to be consequences for actions. And there always is consequences for actions. And sometimes you don't get caught, and sometimes the consequences are not what you suffer, but what someone else does. But for there to be a society, and for that society to function, it is required there be consequences to actions, and it is required that the whole entire populace is aware of that. And this is one of the reasons too. I was reading an essay. Gosh, I wish I could remember it, but it was the essay on why a true Christian theocracy can't work. Because a truly Christian nation would have no punishment. There would be crime, but no punishment. And it would be, I think it's very true. Like I find it very hard to justify punishment outside of like miraculous punishment. If you go by the example set forth by the founders of the new church, that like the apostles, like find me the last time an apostle punished someone in the New Testament. Debatably,
Ananias and Sapphira
wasn't right, even an apostle, right?
I know. But you said miraculously.
That's miraculous Holy Spirit punishment. I think the most like close example is truly just like rebuke and excommunication for a time. Like we just see that like there's a couple times where people turn their back on their fellow brothers or sisters in Christ, and then they're kind of name dropped in a letter of like, hey, avoid this person. Like they can't be trusted. But that's it. And then like the rest of it is like God will deal with them fairly and justly. And it's crazy too, because like at the same time you have the New Testament's case of like non-punishment, like no consequences, because we have the letter to Philemon that is to return to his master for having ran away, and that his master also be merciful with him and not punish him. And so you could even argue that like there is, because of the example set by the New Testament like church, that there is not actually a true way that a Christian nation today could punish people justly. If we're going by, new covenant and example set forth. And that's exactly, I think, why the church can operate and succeed in like any other governing society. It's like because the church's objective is not to be a global, like a global government. Like the whole point of it is the soul, like the individual relationship and soul and reconciliation with God at an individual level, and then you move on to the next one and the next one, and you have the unified faith of like, yet there's consequences for my sin, and the consequences are Jesus' death on the cross. And that is the ultimate consequence. And I recognize the severity of that, and that it should be me on that cross. And that is an act of love. And so going forward, yes, use judicial prudence on who you associate with, and don't just be recklessly foolish. In fact, if there's people trying to kill you, maybe act crazy or play dead. It worked for a lot of the other apostles. But like there's never a time where we see the apostles take vengeance for their persecution, right? And there's never even a time where we see them take vengeance or retaliate in a way after Jesus leaves them for anything that isn't considered persecution. Like, and who knows? Maybe there were cases of it, and we just don't have the letters for it. Maybe they were like, yeah, like, let's be aware of our community here in Corinth. But, if those guys are trying to rob you, not because you're a Christian, but they're just trying to rob you, like, yeah, you can kill them, like self-defense, dog. But that was never written in any of the letters, so we really don't like have anything that like says that. Now, I am speaking partly out of one side of my mouth because I also fully believe like God is okay with us as believers defending ourselves. And I also believe that like God, Romans 12, God has appointed governments to exist over us for a time, for a reason. Like he knows what will come into fruition, and he knows who will rule and what the governing authority is going to be. And so therefore you are a believer in a place and time that God knew was going to be like where you were going to be. And so therefore operate in that place and time for the gospel. I don't really think there's going to be a Christian nation one day, Right. I mean, well, I do think there is in Revelations, right? But like that's kind of the one, because if there's a Christian nation, you don't really have a requirement to go out and about and move underneath the force of that government to try to spread the gospel. So anyways, that's kind of like a side tangent rant of like capital punishment, consequences, and also how I personally reconcile that in my own faith, while also accepting like I'm a believer in a world that is not a Christian world. And so it makes sense that there are consequences to actions. And I can accept the consequences to actions at the same time wanting to pray for the individual soul to be saved. And that's also how I reconcile kind of the earlier topics that we were talking about like it's very hard to pray for the pedophile.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe even called to.
I haven't felt called to it yet.
I know. I know.
Anyways, what is your thoughts on that? I was just kind of going off on a rant there, but I am interested on like your interpretation or things. Sometimes I'm not aware if I'm talking out of my butt.
No, well, I think that for like evidence in the Bible of like, especially New Testament, of that is that exactly what you just said is something that actually I wrestle with in myself too, around, especially let's go like with capital punishment, for instance, which is playing God, taking a man's life. And
good old Romans 13.
And it's
every one of us wants to be the agent.
Mm-hmm.
None of us rarely as a Christian, the agent of God to execute wrath.
Right. And it's it is, I think, hard to reconcile, or maybe in some cases unreconcilable to support punishment of people and call yourself a Christian. I don't know. It is something that I do work through, because I think that it's people would say you're hypocritical, right? Which is like, well, I'm just still trying to figure out what exactly that looks like here. And I think so there are some of the examples too there where you go, okay, like, for like Ananias and Sapphira, that was doled out by God.
That was some holy punishment,
right? And it's like,
scary.
And so is justice only God's ultimately? Yes. In the here and now world, I don't know what this looks like. One of the most perplexing verses for me, and I might have talked about it on this podcast a while ago, is Christ on the way to the garden.
Sell your cloak?
He's like, well, the sell your cloak is one, yeah, but then also, so he's, there's two things. One is when Christ sends out the disciples, he says to basically go out, but take a sword with you. And you're like sell your cloak, buy a sword when you leave. Okay, so Christ commanded them to arm themselves as they went out to spread the gospel. So that's one. Also, at the same time, for me, in very, very similar vein, would be Jesus tells Peter to grab the swords. Peter grabs the swords on the way to the garden. And like, it's been heating up politically. They know that they're looking for Jesus. They know that people want Jesus dead. And they're going to go pray in the garden. It's Jesus' last night on earth before he rises again. And he's told to Peter, grab these swords. So Peter grabs the two swords. Now, fast forward to in the garden. Peter's hanging out, and some guards come to take Jesus away. So obviously, and if I was Peter, I think it would be very obvious why I was told to bring the sword. It's time to use the sword, right? The armed guys are coming to take Jesus away, my leader. So he swings that sword. Fortunately for the servant, he misses and just gets the ear.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jesus tells him to stop. And he's like, am I supposed to use this sword or not? Now, Jesus in that moment did pick up the ear of the servant and heal it back onto him, right? So did Jesus tell him to bring the sword just to glorify God further in front of these guards? I don't know. And it could be as simple as that, but there's the Christ has commanded his disciples in two different examples in scripture to take a sword with them. I'd assume at some point you're supposed to use it. He does not give any further instructions on when or how to use it. Even with the child pedophiles, which you could go, I guess the child pedophiles is redundant. A child pedophile is that a kid pedophile? Sorry.
I guess so, yeah.
But when it comes to pedophiles, I think that the verse most applicable for them is, Jesus says, if anybody harms these children. it's better that he tie a millstone around his neck, cast himself into the ocean. At which point, I think, does he say that he should tie a millstone around his own neck? Or does he say you should tie a millstone around his neck?
No, it's like, it's hard. It depends on the translation, because I've read several. I did a study on the verse. So it's like, is this the only verse that condones suicide?
Right.
Or is this a verse that condones capital punishment for someone who diddles children? And I've seen translations that are essentially always says it is better for him to have a millstone tied around his neck and be cast into the sea
than to
harm one of these. Yeah, but then there's also translation. The first half is still the same pretty much. Or interpretation, I'll say. The interpretation is still better for him to have a millstone tied to his neck and he cast himself into the sea. Right. So there's both there. Either way, it doesn't really matter who ties the millstone.
Right. but either way, it's either saying it's Jesus's way of speaking, like how he would say gouge your eye out, saying it would have been better for you if you had just killed yourself. Yep. Maybe because of what's coming for you in Gehenna. I don't know. Yeah. Or two, that guy's supposed to do it himself still. So you still don't get to use, either way, you got to use a millstone and not a sword. So we have no direction on when or how to use the sword. Now, except for in Ephesians, the only sword we get to use there's one sword we're allowed to use, and it says use it. It's the sword of the Spirit. Other than that,
I thought you were going to pick a different Ephesians verse, but yeah.
But other than that, we don't have any go no go criteria for sword usage as Christians. True. That I know of.
Well, there's like the Old Testament,
right? Which I was actually going to bring up, which would be, I think there is one of the stark difference culturally between Christians and Israelis and Israeli Jews is kind of, and they get to use that old book. We only get to use the new book. And if you use it wrong, you just use the old book to justify what you do when Christ called us to the new covenant. So like basing our laws out of, Abrahamic or Mosaic covenants or laws, while they were set by God, they weren't set for us necessarily. They've been fulfilled in Christ. And obviously we're getting into some stuff here that takes a couple semesters of classes to really break down the how broad this can go. But all that to say, I don't know when I get to use the sword.
Yeah, I mean, I've always erred on the verses. Essentially, there's the one in Romans that's like agent of the government. Well, what's that mean? Driver's license make you an agent of the government? What? Like, like you get real finicky with it, right? And then there's also the verse in Exodus about it's not necessarily, I would say, a law, but it's a condition, right? You could say it's a law. I guess you'd probably say it's wrapped up in the Abrahamic law, but the condition is there's a conditional time when it's okay, like when you're justified in killing someone, and their blood's on your hands versus not. And I think that just as God was right and righteous then, he is now, and just as that law or that condition was seen fit and righteous in his eyes then, it is now too. I don't think it should be used for justification for Christians going out and killing anyone by any means, because that's, of course, not even remotely the condition of that Abrahamic law in the first place, right? And that's not the condition we see in Romans right now. But I do rest in that it's made very clear that when Christians are being persecuted, we are to essentially let that be the greatest testimony for Christ. So, and if you guys have any debate on this, right, I would encourage all of you to read Jesus Freaks and read it in a place where you can sit down and cry, because it's an insanely massive account, and I think they're like up to like 5 books now but it's all just true stories of people who were martyred for the faith. And very, very convicting stories that will move you and challenge you in like your view of like, when is it right for a Christian to use violence to defend themselves or others versus when are we called for truly the purpose Christ put us on this earth, which is to testify about him and his love and God's love. And I kind of pretty much have always erred on, if someone is trying to kill me out of persecution of my faith, I'm called to be a martyr. I'm called to praise Christ as I'm murdered and to pray for my persecutors. If they are just trying to kill me because they want my shit or they're psycho, I'm going to kill them. So that's where I've always rested in, and I've prayed a lot about it, spoken to some pastors. I even did like the call-in a couple times to a couple different pastors on Grace FM.
Oh yeah.
And asked them it just for their thoughts, and all of them pretty much had the exact same response to that. And and I've prayed about it, and I've decided that's where I'm okay with resting on that. And I'm like, I've pretty much just operated under that going forward.
No, I agree with that, general set of rules.
Now, if someone comes to our church and plans to start shooting up our church,
being person,
they're like, I hate Christians, I'm going to shoot this church up.
It doesn't fall under your
persecution
guidelines.
It does technically, but I'm still gonna shoot them. I'm still gonna make them take the body room temperature challenge. The room temperature challenge is, and I'll sort it out with God afterwards. So it is a difficult dichotomy to navigate, but at the end of the day, that's part of like being a Christian and resting in the Holy Spirit to guide you. All that said, man, we talked about a lot of that, a lot of the philosophy around this, all coming from the beginning of late night show host. I do want to call out on almost a total pivot, just because a lot of this guy's videos, Professor Jiang, Jacquin, I don't know. It's so hard sometimes to not say it French when it's a Chinese name. But Professor Jiang, Jiang, and then Xueqin or Xueqin, Xueqin. So I've been seeing a lot of his YouTube videos, and they're pretty inflammatory. They're like always talking about like collapse of a society, the end of the Western world. They're all like classroom stuff where he's got a whiteboard behind him and he looks like he's recording while answering questions.
Does he have any pupils in the room with him?
The pupils are always Chinese accented, speaking English
in the room.
Well, you never see them. But he always almost releases them right on time. This like hour-long lecture right before something relevant to the lecture occurs. And you know what? Like, paint me a conspiracy theorist, but maybe the Chinese just have enough data collected and information that they can kind of predict when something's happening, and they got enough spies out there informing them of what other nations are planning or doing, so they can kind of be timely with these things. But he really tries to come off as that he is a professor that has like these degrees. But when I look him up online, he's got a Bachelor of Arts in English Literature from Yale College. This isn't on Yale's website. This is on Moonshot Academy, which I think is his own teaching platform in China because it's in Chinese. He has over 10 years of teaching in China and teaches Western philosophy. His location on YouTube is listed as Canada. And of course, every single student he has is Chinese, or at least has a Chinese accent while they're like asking questions in English. And it really does come off as like insanely well done CCP talent. And these videos are pretty, like I said, they're pretty crazy for the algorithm. He, like, some of his top videos are the reason the U.S. created ISIS, and they created them to be human drones, like disposable, and send the and like use ISIS as a tool of disrupting other parts of the Middle East. Civilization and Free Fall, the Death River strategy. These are all talks about like, predictions of what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. This other one is like, why Israel wants to unite itself by breaking the world. And it's all pretty much like based in like very modern, and by modern, I mean like post-industrial revolution philosophy of like the Western world and culture. So he's not saying anything that's really new, but he's then applying it to like borderline conspiracy theory. So it is interesting, but it is like while you're watching it, you're like, there's a lot of fallacies. There's a lot of leaps in logic. The Israel wants to unite itself by breaking the world video I watched. He's talking about how Israel is essentially creating, it's doing a manufactured genocide in order to have a ritual. I'm not kidding. A ritual of child sacrifice. Because what he says, right? 47%. Oh no, sorry. It's like, 47% of people killed in Gaza are under the age of 18. So the majority casualties by age are those under 18. That's like the largest casualty group. And that is such a inflammatory, abhorrent sin to the Western world that this is going to make the Western world like unanimously unite and condemn Israel. And Israel's doing this because if they fulfill that the whole world's united against them, it will accelerate the Jewish view of revelation of apocalypse. And so he's like arguing like Israel's trying to be accelerationist. I'm saying this is very conspiratorial. I'm not saying this is our beliefs at all, but this is just like some of the videos he's putting out, and it's very well timed. Like, this one came out literally, I think, just a week before the strike on Qatar. And this week we see, the videos coming out of Gaza of the airstrikes on the structures in Gaza to essentially like flatten it and get rid of anything that could be used as like apartments or living quarters for people in Gaza. And so it's just like all of it he's doing very well, and though if you pay attention you realize like this is total propaganda. And then the real question is like, okay, well, why is the CCP fighting so hard to make, or not fighting, but like working so diligently to make this false appearance of lectures, college, university lectures from an esteemed professor who went to Yale, talking about this kind of doomerism stuff. I find it pretty fascinating. I do think people should check out a couple of the videos. Like I said, a lot of them have interesting premises that then you can like work through and wrestle with yourself. But also I encourage you to be aware of like, this is what propaganda looks like. And it's not always just CCP. Like you're going to find the same thing from quote unquote Jewish professors, Muslim professors. You're going to find the same thing from American, like renowned professors that you're not going to realize that this isn't actually a lecture hall in Harvard, but it looks like it. And they say he went to Harvard, and he did teach one semester at Harvard, but it's all constructed to look and appear as if this is a very natural progression of the dialogue in the nation. And the sooner you can watch that and start discerning the real from fiction, the better off you're going to be in navigating the sensationalism of this news, which ultimately I'm saying relates back to like what's going on with Charlie Kirk and the other kind of incidents that have popped up over in the last week, which we haven't even talked about that, but there's been quite a few other ones that bloomed up like simultaneously with Charlie Kirk. Like the next, the next morning, there was an IED that failed to go off underneath a ambulance it was underneath a Fox News truck in Utah. And the IED failed. So the SWAT, like the local sheriff department they did an investigation, got a warrant to raid this house where they believed the builders of the IED were. They raided it. There was a ton of other IEDs that the builders themselves said, oh no, those are real. Those aren't fake. Like we're planning on using those too. And then there was the recent, what was it? Was it a firebombing recently that injured 3 people that was also kind of targeted towards the media? Anyways, all that said, things are happening. You need to be able to filter it and understand what is the real, actual facts coming out of a situation and avoid the propaganda spew because it's everywhere. And it is a very successful means of controlling a narrative. And it's not just on YouTube. It's not just on your favorite news channel. It's on TikTok. It's on Facebook. It's on Instagram. Anyways, so that's my whole rant on this and why I'm bringing up this guy. Because it will help you, I think, to navigate it and find authenticity, in fact, better than propaganda.
Yes, you got to filter it all in like you have to think of yourself as your grandma watching an AI video clip.
Yeah.
Like you are that. That is what you are being manipulated. Stuff what you're seeing is not real, like, or it's like the grandma who was watching a kid play like Grand Theft Auto 5 or something and she thought it was the news.
Yeah.
Like you have to realize that you're not above that being that person. You are that person, or you will be that person eventually, as far as like how we filter through and discriminate or discern against the messages we're getting, and understand what's real and what's not and what's really going on. I did not know about that bomb. I was just looking it up. There's not a lot of information on the guys besides their names, which are a little bit
they were
Middle Eastern.
They were Arab.
Yeah.
This is the best I could find on them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were Arab immigrants, but they were of Arab kind of background, which
there's no information out there on this.
I only saw their names and that they
are arrested,
like where they were registered at university wise.
Yeah, and they're just wild. Looks like maybe a father, son, same last name, 58-year-old, 31-year-old, or uncle, son, or uncle, nephew thing, whatever. But I mean, yeah, I think that there's always more at play, or the more things going on. Like, I don't think going into conspiracy world is very helpful at times, but my big conspiracy theory is that there is not necessarily, there's not about a deep state or a cabal or a thing. My big thing would be like, there is evil in this world, and there is a master of evil things in this world, and who is somewhat coordinated.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not devil behind every bush type of guy or whatever, but I feel like it's like a sound thing I can place some understanding on some of these things to go, okay, why is all this happening? What is going on? And starting there with what's going on with evil in this world. And the lots of things happened this last week. Even you might have said it while you were talking about the Epstein file vote
happened simultaneously.
Happened during all this.
it happened at the same time with Charlie Kirk's assassination.
Yeah.
It was like down within a couple minutes of each other.
Yeah. Like so that sort of stuff, like, it makes it hard to not go.
And if you don't think that Republican and Democrat parties are two wings of the same bird, look at how many Republicans voted to not have that released.
Mm-hmm.
It was a landslide of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not black and white, folks.
Yeah. And, yeah, it's like, have they all gotten to see it? You know, the list or whatever, or are they just voting on something they don't even know and they just got their marching orders?
Their orders.
Hey,
yeah, dude.
You want to stay in this game? You like this cushy life?
That's the crazy.
You want to be president someday? You're gonna say no to this,
dude. That's the scariest part to me, because here's a real conspiracy for you. Look at the people who voted no on the Epstein list. The senators who voted no on releasing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then look at the senators who received the most funding from essentially the ADL and AIPAC and all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much like the senators who get the most funding from Israel are the senators who voted no against this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is if that doesn't kind of give more credence to what you were talking about last week or the week before, Pat, about the whole like Epstein connection to Mossad possibly,
mm-hmm.
then I don't know what does.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, it's that it's a frustrating, disturbing thing, and the whatever's going on up on that hill is all a big game.
And it's not different now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just as the same creature as it was before Trump.
It doesn't matter who's in power, one side or the other, or it is what's the phrase people have been saying? You know, always saying something like, it's not a left versus right thing. It's a kind of a
them versus
us thing, or the top versus bottom thing. You know, I don't necessarily totally believe in that, but that is a better example of what is actually kind of something to be, you know, and like how we've seen, like, gosh, like we've talked about it a few weeks ago, like Dan Bongino and the
Cash
Patel and these things, and being like, what the heck's going on with these guys? Because they're different than they were a year ago.
Yeah,
they're not the same guy they were a year ago.
Their behavior is so much different.
It's so different. Unless they're just complete liars to get a position, which someone like, you know, I don't know if Dan Bongino actually had political aspirations, you know,
mm-hmm.
but you know, which maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I have no idea. He just was a Secret Service guy and then a podcast guy, and then he was called into this thing, you know. So it's like, and Cash Patel does have political, aspirations.
Yeah. That's also crazy. Cash Patel, and then you read about his girlfriend or fiance.
I have no idea about who
Are you
that
for
is.
real?
I have no idea.
Dude, it is.
Enlighten me.
It is like without a doubt that she's Mossad.
Oh
like she's
gosh.
like a honeypot for sure. Like the timing that they started dating and she came along coinciding with him getting like the momentum to then become appointed to something by Trump, and then it happened to be the FBI. And then just like seeing how she just kind of manifested out of thin air. Dude, it's pretty crazy, dude. And the like the worst part is like the denial of it. Like if the reaction to it wasn't like if the reaction to people like alluding like maybe she's got connections to the Israeli government, and they were just like, okay, whatever, and they just like shrugged it off. But the fact that like they have doubled down and argued against this so hard, and like there's a ton of like stuff that is coming out about like essentially her kind of like story not lining up of like her career and such, that I don't think it'd be as like in the zeitgeist as it is. But it's because they're fighting against that narrative so hard that everyone's like, oh, okay, well, like, no, it's a classic thing of like, if you don't really engage and deny excessively, then like people forget about it and it just seems fringe. But if you get really personal about it and like really like invested in denying it, then it's like, okay, like how many times do you have to say you're not gay before people believe you're actually gay? You know what I mean? Like
right.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, just deny it. And the what's with all these older guys marrying all these young ladies? It's ridiculous. Especially on who's the girl who's the press secretary or whatever. What's her name?
For
Trump
right now?
Yeah.
I don't know her name.
Like she's married to some like 60-something-year-old dude.
She's gotten hardly any time to be a press secretary because Trump is just talking so much directly to the camera. This
Caroline Levitt. She's 27. She's married to this like 60-something-year-old guy. Same with this young girl who married Cash and like whatever. I mean, and Trump obviously too. So it's like, and like maybe age it doesn't matter that much. There's just still like there's some things I just don't like.
Sure.
Or like just like our trends and things, whatever. Like, it's just whatever. Who knows? Maybe this is just how it's been through all of history. If you rule the world, you have a young wife. I don't know what the deal is.
Sure.
But all that to say, one thing I was thinking about when you were talking about how many people on the left and right both voted down the release of the Epstein files would be. It'd be curious to actually go through the list of all the people who voted to not release it and then go look at the people on the right specifically, how many people voted to not release it who actively campaigned on that with, saying, because it was a huge topic. Yeah. Lots of people were calling for it to come out. And I'll say like, I've seen some things where like Don Jr., like I haven't seen him post much about like, usually anything his dad posts, he's like reposting right away, or but he did post a lot about the Epstein stuff, and now he's like
crickets.
But he's not saying. But he also hasn't been like
get over it.
Move
it. On.
He's just kind of like I'm just gonna back out of this one for a minute, like kind of thing. Like I don't know, dude.
It's not a good look.
No,
it definitely damages trust in the institution when they had all the opportunity to gain an insane amount of it.
Well, they could have got a lot of trust back and said they broke a lot more of it.
Yeah, it is a crazy thing, man. I guess ultimately we'll see what really comes out with more of the Ghislaine testimony. That'll be pretty interesting.
How's that still not happened yet? Get them out there and make them talk. It's like that's my comment about the rope over the tree thing, and not about death as also much as like justice, move forward with it. These things could go on forever. Isn't the the biggest one for me when I was younger watching it was watching the Batman shooter. The guy dressed as a Joker in Denver shot up the theater.
Yeah.
Just it drags on and on forever. Another case, another appeal, whatever. Like all this is just like.
Well, he's not competent to stand on trial for himself.
Just make a decision on this because it's cut and dry what the deal is.
I mean, is it even really a debate? Is it a debate that it matters if he's insane or not? Like, honestly, here's going back to the Flesh Simulator thing. It's like, kill all of them, man. He killed a bunch of people in the movie theater and terrorized people for some of them for like the rest of their lives. I still have met people who are like uncomfortable going to movie theater because they were at that one. Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's just like there's the only way to resolve that is by real consequences. Anyways, well, I think it's good because I got some other stuff we could talk about, but we can do it all like offline and prep for the next thing. But I think this is a good summary of kind of like the process we've gone through in the last week, and how we've been seeing everything around us, not just accelerated in tension, but heightened, as well as like all the false information that's going around. Like, you'll never regret being patient to open your mouth, right? And if you feel like you're on a place where you want to say something insanely inflammatory because you're angry and you just don't care, I guarantee you if you just breathe and pray and wait an hour. You'll feel way less inflammatory, like you need to say that.
And you might still have your spot as a host on a late night show.
And you might still have, no kidding. You might not have gotten fired. So anyways, Ken, thanks for joining us. Please give us feedback. Let us know how we're doing. We appreciate you. We love you. See you as family. Take care of yourself. Spend time with God, spend time with family. I have to say, the best thing I did out of all this stuff with what happened with Charlie Kirk is that I laid down next to my wife and I held her for about 5 minutes and just held her and just prayed to God and said, thank you for this gift. And, man, I loved it. It was a peaceful, serene moment, and I've done it just about every night since, because I know that Charlie doesn't get to do that, and it feels very real. And so if that's the biggest thing that is coming out of all this for me in my own personal life, is that I hold my wife a little bit longer each night and spend a little bit more time mentally resting in that and being aware to appreciate it, I got no regrets. So, Pat, you got any sign off?
Till next time. Thanks for tuning in. If you love this episode, drop us a review. If you have qualms or comments, leave us a voicemail on our website. While you're there, check out our latest news, merch, and deals from our sponsors. Till next time, Ken.